around the mic, around the headphones and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just great.
Isn't that great?
That's splendid.
Mm-hmm.
That's apropos for the times.
Yeah, it is.
There's one effing problem. You can't drink your beer through that.
That's going to be an issue. That's going to be an issue.
But it's so symptomatic. I mean, if this is not what we're dealing with, right? If this is
how about
2020?
How about the people you see in their cars
Driving.
by themselves with a mask on?
I got one better. How about those on the golf course the last couple of weeks in a golf cart by themselves with their mask on?
How about in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania?
Okay.
Now that they allowed golf,
Okay.
you can drive with your wife, your husband, your best friend, your son in the same car. You arrive at the golf course. You cannot ride in the same golf cart. See, to me, when rules that are absurd, defy logic, go against all common sense, when they're strictly enforced, I want out.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you're alone.
I can't take it. No, I got to get this.
Get that off you. I mean, you're not supposed to be breathing that carbon dioxide anyway. Did you hear about that thing? Or is it carbon monoxide? Whatever it is we give off.
Dioxide, yeah.
Whatever it is.
The bad stuff. Putting yourself in the garage and leaving the car running, that's the way to go out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a woman in New Jersey, same thing, had one of the
crazy.
more sophisticated masks, driving alone in her car, and she asphyxiated, passed out, and wrecked. Thankfully, not killed. We've become sheeple, Eric. Sheeple. No matter what the so-called authorities say. And what did you post that today? I think it was today. Mm-hmm. If you don't question everything, you need to wake up.
Mm-hmm. Question.
And I showed that to my gorgeous and lovely and talented wife because she goes, "Why do you have to question everything?"
Don't blame that on me.
No. I said because unfortunately we have allowed idiots to run the show.
Yeah. And there's
That's
no other
why
way.
I don't want to. As a kid, you grow up and you respect authority and you assume, which again is a mistake, that the people in charge know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And then you get
trust.
older.
You trust.
And then you get older and you realize these guys are corrupt. What was Pennsylvania voted the 5th most corrupt state
I saw
in the
that.
country?
I saw that.
Yeah. So why would we trust these guys? Why?
This is parochial to me, but did you know? You'll laugh at this, and you might already know. We were the only state in the union where real estate was not declared essential.
Essential. While beer distributors were. So you got to respect that.
I guess
Dentists
that
were
might
not
keep
essential.
Keep the peace.
You have an abscessed tooth, which
you're screwed.
I mean, in many wars, the absolute best way of torturing someone to give up whatever information they may have had was by drilling their teeth and doing things like that without any kind of Novocaine or anything like that. So you have an abscessed tooth. Your dentist isn't essential, but I guess they did make exceptions for emergencies. However, beer distributors, of course, were essential.
From day one.
State stores, of course, were not. So what we all
They
did
came back.
What we all did is Pittsburgh folks. Well, our state was, again, our esteemed leadership were costing our own state. They were cutting off their own revenue at $13 million a day.
They couldn't see that? I mean, really?
Help me. Just someone help me.
I have been so look, I try to look at it pragmatically, Paul, but from day to day the instructions seem to change. Sometimes it was good to wear a mask, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes I needed to wear gloves, sometimes gloves were bad. It's like it's like I'm in a parallel universe.
Correct.
Everything that I was taught as a child about cleanliness and all that has to be pounded back in our heads again. Okay, but the whole instructions on how to quote unquote stay safe, and then the numbers don't jive. And I lost my father. He was in a nursing home for 5 years. We lost him recently.
So sorry.
I watched,
but I know he was in bad shape.
Oh yeah, it was for mercy. It was the right thing.
Yes.
But I watched that death certificate like a hawk because then I told them there. I said,
Don't
"Does he
do it.
have COVID? No, Mr. McKenna. Has he been tested? Yes, Mr. McKenna. No one in our facility, even employees, have been tested positive." And I told them, I said, "If this death certificate comes back as he died of COVID complications, I'm going to the media." It wasn't a threat to be an asshole. It was a threat that this is ridiculous because
Right.
that's what's been happening.
Oh, you think?
There's no question. And I'm sure it has to do with funding. It's so deep.
Well, they're giving $1,300 per COVID death to every healthcare operation.
Didn't know that. Yeah, see, it's
there's an agenda, and we watch our local media. Many of my cohorts and buddies wearing a mask at 11 o'clock live shot with no one within hundreds of yards. Did you see the Green Bay Packer fan call out the reporter? The reporter's doing his little live shot. I don't even know what the subject matter was, but he was talking about how important it is to wear the mask and everything else. And the guy walks by and goes, "Why doesn't your photographer have a mask on?" And the reporter goes, Then the anchor back in the studio, It's a sham.
Yeah, it's a sham.
Local
it's a
news,
sham.
if they don't scare you, you don't watch. So they love scaring you because it's the only time you watch.
There's no question.
Is your tap water killing you? Tonight at 11. Well, why don't you tell me at 6:30 so I don't drink any more tap water? Why do I have to wait till 11 to see why my tap water's killing me? It's
true.
Unbelievable.
It's true. And I had this conversation with my wife yesterday. I said it's possible. I can't prove it, but it's possible that a year from now we may look back at this as the biggest hoax perpetrated on mankind. Yeah. Not that people haven't passed and all that, but the severity of what was supposed to happen because people panicked. Mm-hmm. We might look back on this.
They forced the panic.
There's no question.
I mean, they forced the panic.
There's no question.
Now, this is global. Mm-hmm. It's not just to get Trump out of office, which many people believe.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's been co-opted, though.
The fact that every Republican governor has opened their state and every Democratic governor has kept their state closed, it's become very political, okay? You look at Florida, wide open. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And like I used to say with steroids, where are the bodies? If everybody's using them and they're so dangerous, why isn't everybody dead?
Right.
I mean, there's been, Lyle Alzado and others. There have been... But a lot of times that's, a pre-existing condition where, there's not a good mix there.
Of course not.
And by the way, then human growth hormone came in and they didn't test for it.
Right.
That's a blood test. That's more sophisticated and more expensive. We're not going to test for that. And now, they're finally coming around to the fact that, THC and cannabis and other things are actually a healthy way to fight pain as opposed to an opioid. Mm-hmm. Which has led to so many overdose deaths and so many problems that NFL doctors were prescribing like candy.
Mm-hmm. Going back candy. 30, 40 years.
30, 40 years.
Right.
Here's a Percocet. Here's whatever. I mean, just do this. Get addicted. Get hooked. You can't afford those anymore. Get a new script. So you turn to heroin and you kill yourself. But hey, we were putting people in jail for 20 years for having an ounce of pot.
Yeah. And,
Our war against
a lot of
drugs.
people still there. Still in there. For that exact reason.
Is it unbelievable?
It is unbelievable. And more than that, I think that there's so much misinformation, and we perpetrated ourselves on social media, but there's so much misinformation coming from what we gathered as our primary news source of Fox, CNN, MSNBC, our ABC, NBC, CBS, the trusted places we've gone to get the facts in an emergency, because as far as I know, Paul, every major news outlet and every politician in the beginning thought this crisis could cripple the entire world and take mankind down as we know it.
Yeah, that's the way it was portrayed. I mean, that's the way we were led to believe. That's
fear-mongering at the highest level.
And again, every single life, anyone that has an at-risk, parent.
Yep.
I don't want to shorten anybody's life ever, but first time in history that the healthy have been quarantined as opposed to the sick and the at-risk. Think about the esteemed Governor Cuomo sentenced thousands to death in New York by forcing them into nursing homes where COVID was very present. And he's still lauded as the great leader during this pandemic.
Yes.
Because he's on the right side of where the agenda wants to be. And I don't trust, just so you know, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
I know you are.
I don't lean any way.
I know you in the middle. You wade in the middle like me.
Now, and again, to get political, which I never do, this would be the time where if we had an actual legitimate leader that would just say, I'm done with all of this nonsense. I am your libertarian candidate. I am the legitimate third party.
Yeah.
I want government out of your life and my life.
Right.
I want to take this country back. I want to quit spending billions and trillions of dollars in waste and just graft and corruption. Mm-hmm. Let's get rid of the lobbyist. Let's get rid of the special interest.
Term limits.
Term limits are immediate.
Term limits.
And we start over.
What's wrong with that?
When our two best candidates for our next run are Donald Trump and Joe Biden, we have failed miserably.
The system's broke.
And I feel badly for the people that are still so passionate about their side, because no side deserves to be defended like that.
It's almost like sports.
It's scary to me.
Why do we grab onto a side or a philosophy that we really don't do deep dives on? We assume that's us, and we grab onto it, and we're so loyal, like our sports teams.
Right.
It's nuts.
I mean, how about, for example, we have become the most divisive, polarized.
Let me know when you're ready.
It's insane to me. For example, I'm a huge Marc-Andre Fleury fan. Mm-hmm. As a human being, I did a feature article on him for Pittsburgh Magazine many years ago, around him quite a bit. One of the most affable, awesome human beings I've ever met, who also happens to be a Hall of Fame NHL goaltender.
Right.
So when it came down to the Murray-Fleury thing, how about the hate spewed? Now, both of these guys are on your beloved team. You're a Pittsburgh Penguin fan. But we go this way. If you say anything nice about Marc-Andre Fleury, that means you hate Matt Murray.
Right.
No, I don't hate Matt Murray. I love Matt Murray. He won 2 Stanley Cups as a rookie. How do I hate Matt Murray? Right. But if you say something nice about Murray, are you stabbing Marc-Andre Fleury in the back?
It's extremes.
No.
All or nothing.
How about the fact they won 2 cups because they had them both?
Right.
Now, the salary cap makes that impossible to maintain.
Right.
But if you go rogue on your own, then I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
Then I don't get you.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is sports talk now. If you listen to sports talk, they go, why did the Patriots win 6 Super Bowls? Was it Brady or was it Belichick? Well, listen, clowns, it was both. They were both there.
It's an easy answer.
They both did it.
It's an easy answer, though.
Well, you got to pick a side.
Why?
Well, no. What I want to do is break it down and go, Belichick is a defensive coach.
Yep.
He won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, with Bill Parcells as a D
100%.
coordinator. He didn't even pay attention to the offense.
Right.
Hardly at all.
Right.
So he did a lot in terms of the way he structured the organization. And by the way, Tom Brady was a pretty damn good quarterback.
You think?
So if you think it's like one without the other, now people can't wait for this year because they think Brady's, 100 now? Like, what's he going to prove at this age at Tampa? Like, I know it's the opportunity to see how's Belichick was, 11-5 with Matt Castle. Mm-hmm. So this whole polarizing either or, it's because people force you to do it.
Why, though?
I don't
know. As a people, why are we like that?
I don't understand, because I'm not that way.
I don't ever remember.
I see so much gray in the world.
Yeah.
And we've watched a boatload of series, on Netflix and everything else. And the thing that I've really grasped, now this is interesting to me. What I've really taken away from a lot of the series that I watched, they presented absolute gray area. You watch a show like Dexter. He's a serial killer. But he only kills really bad people. People that got away with murder. Literally got away with murder.
He's a vigilante.
So, exactly. Vigilante justice. But then a fellow cop is on to him, and he finally crosses the line and kills the cop to save himself.
Right.
All right, now he crossed the line. He's not that guy anymore.
Right.
But you don't hate him.
No.
So that's what I think.
That's a good analogy.
That's what I think's cool about it, is you have to realize. And then if you look inwardly, or you look in the mirror,
honestly,
you're not all good.
Right.
You're not all bad. You're somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. Hopefully trending toward being better. Mm-hmm. But there's no absolutes. But people are forced to, right now it's like if you would have anything Trump related, you're a racist.
Right.
And you hate, you somehow hate people.
Right.
Wait a second. I'm none of the above.
Exactly.
If you're anti or pro-abortion, you're this way or that way.
Yep.
It's one issue, it's one party, and they know who you are.
They use it as a litmus test almost for your character.
And it's, you can't have a conversation then.
Right.
Well, wait a second. I did vote this way. I did. Well, all of a sudden, that conversation's over, and no one's in the last 15 years changed their mind because of a good conversation.
Good point.
And I miss that. I miss that so much.
Okay, because I will tell you, I say it repeatedly, and I thoroughly believe it, Paul. No argument on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or on the web in general has ever changed any hearts or minds. I mean,
No.
George Bush used one of the tenets of going in and change and the Gulf War too was we were going to change the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people.
Right.
That's a bold statement, and quite frankly, it didn't happen.
It's thousands of years of a culture.
Exactly.
Good
right.
luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. But when you fight on Facebook, and I see it all the time. I mean, I'm guilty of probably baiting people because I'll say my piece and just walk away from it and just like grab the popcorn box and watch it, and it's sad.
Oh, it's
incendiary.
People
I mean,
go,
they good, solid people that I know
minds.
just go crazy over it. I mean, you're not changing my mind. And it's funny, like one guy goes, well, you posted it. I said, that's right. It's my wall. It's my opportunity to tell you where my frustration is. I'm not looking for agreement. If you want to agree, wonderful. If you don't, you disagree, God bless you. But you're not going to get an argument out of me. I said my piece.
How about making someone think?
That's
about thinking?
You hope.
Yeah.
You hope that's what it. Now how it pertains to sports is, talk to me a little bit about this uncharted territory that your brethren and yourself and people that are in this field and made a career out of it now all of a sudden on air have nothing to freaking talk about. So obviously your producers and you guys and gals are getting creative.
Right.
But I think that's where some of those weird questions come from. Like, well, was Michael Jordan really an asshole, or was it just the television show? Do you favor Scottie Pippen's version or Michael Jordan's version? It's like, are you kidding me?
Right.
I don't care. That happened 20 years ago. It's not relevant to me. Like, I don't know why would you create an argument with people, even in their conscience, on something that was 20 years ago?
Right. And now you have to determine the GOAT. Who's the greatest of all time? Well, I mean, to me, when you're hosting a sports talk show,
I don't know.
To me, those are amazingly fun topics.
Okay.
Because there's not a right or a wrong answer.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
We're talking about different eras.
I get it.
We're talking about championships, number of championships.
You're right.
And then there's always the outlier. I mean, there's always,
but
didn't that guy win a Super Bowl?
Right.
So Dan Marino's not one of the all-time great quarterbacks because he didn't win a Super Bowl?
But the numbers prove he's
Yet some guy for the Ravens won a Super Bowl.
Eli Manning, down to Giants.
He won two.
But he won two.
He won two.
But he's never in the conversation.
Is he better than Ben? Because they both won two. But see, those are fun. And what should always continue in sports is the ability to agree to disagree.
Okay.
And to say things like,
Okay.
all right, yeah, championships do matter, but it can't be the only criteria. It just can't be. And football, by the way, is the ultimate team game.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate team game.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a guy fumble a punt return.
Right.
And cost someone a Super Bowl so that now that quarterback's not worthy, even though he had done everything in his power to get his team to win a Super Bowl, some guy coughs up a punt and it's over. So that now the quarterback gets blamed? No.
All right, on that premise, Bradshaw, Staubach, who was actually a better quarterback?
Well, that one is very difficult for me. They both run great teams. They had Hall of Fame players around them. I think Brad's big game ability would make him a little bit superior. I think, he was like a career 51 or 2% completion passer. Mm-hmm. I think he had 212 touchdowns and like 210 picks. So,
different schemes, though.
Oh, yeah. And, the rules. I mean, by the way, Mel Blount could assault you until the ball was in the air. So good luck. I mean, it was a different football game back then.
But even Dallas's offensive scheme and Pittsburgh's offensive scheme totally different.
Oh, absolutely.
One was freewheeling and fun, which no one thinks of Noel as being fun, but that system was pretty freewheeling compared
Noel
to...
believed if you're going to throw the ball, you're going to throw it downfield.
Right.
He was not a dink and a dunk guy.
Right.
He threw the ball downfield, and Brad believed in letting his guys make plays.
Okay.
My guy's going to get it. I'm going to throw it, and my guy's going to get it. And Lynn Swann and John Stallworth and others made plays.
Yeah,
they went up and made plays.
They did.
And Jackie Smith has a big factor.
In my head, that's where
what you're thinking about, the punt. Yeah, the Jackie Smith drop in the end zone, which, what a great player.
I know.
I mean, what a great player.
Tight end, right?
Yes, and that's painful for every Cowboy and every Cowboys
that's
fan.
That's the football equivalent of Bill Buckner.
Yeah, it is Bill Buckner. Or imagine Heath Miller doing that.
Right.
Like against the Cardinals, if he would have dropped a touchdown in the end zone and the Steelers lose.
Yeah.
Ouch, because you love Heath Miller.
Absolutely.
And that's how Jackie Smith was with the Cowboys. I mean, unselfish player, great blocker, caught it every time they threw it to him. And that was right on the money. And Roger Staubach will have his back forever.
I know.
Never say a bad word about that man.
Class.
Ever. Roger Staubach is a class.
Yeah, there's no question.
I forget how many millions or billions he's worth now. I mean, first of all, went to the Naval Academy, served time, he's a class.
He's a character
act.
guy.
I mean, he's that guy.
Yeah, he's a character guy.
And Terry Bradshaw is one of the most entertaining guys in history.
Question.
He's
Remember
so
he was
funny.
a singer?
Oh.
I found one of those albums at home. My parents had one of those country western albums, and I think he had married a JoJo Starbuck was a figure skater.
She was a professional figure skater.
But she also sang, I think, on his album. You can't get any weirder than that.
No. And I think he's on
it was weird.
marriage number 3, I believe.
Oh, was it?
I think he's doing okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Terry's, I mean, and he's helped CBS. I mean, he's part of that CBS the last 20, 30 years of their broadcasting lore. Would you not agree?
Oh, yeah.
For better or worse.
No, I think for better. And his whole deal with Pittsburgh has been so strange. He was scared to death.
Is that all true? What we hear, most of it?
Well, no. I mean, like he said, he goes, unless it's my immediate family, I don't go to funerals. So not going to the Chiefs' funeral and then not going to Dan Rooney's funeral.
Right.
People are keeping score. They're like,
it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So I remember the night, I think it was a Monday night game. He brought, it was his first time in Pittsburgh in like 15 or 20 years. I forget the actual particulars. He walked out to midfield with his daughter, and that was all, and he admits it, so they wouldn't boo me.
Wow.
He was scared to death he was going to get booed because of the perception. So it's almost like, that's a little shaky when you think about it. When
he had to take his daughter out.
Your daughter is a shield. Like, Terry, that's not a good look. I mean, the chivalry is not really.
But he even said it.
But the ovation was unbelievable.
He's
really
been loved
was.
in this town.
He is. He won 4 Super Bowls.
I know.
In 6 years.
And the people that watched those Super Bowls are still around. You and I, we're still here.
Yeah.
And we've told our children about it, and it's really, I totally get it. And Terry's still a huge part of this town, and he always will be completely. Yeah. How is it? I mean, how do you come up with content now? You're on the air. You're in the middle of a pandemic. What the hell are you talking? I try to listen. And I love some of those guys on 93.7 The Fan. I mean, Ron Cook. I mean, I want to meet Ron Cook. That's my goal in life. Meet Ron Cook, right?
Well, hey, I'll tell you what. If you offer up a couple of these cold beverages, he'll be here.
I love to have Ron here. But
his 2 favorite beers? Free and Free Light. Free and Free Light.
We can arrange that.
Yeah, that's what I know.
We can absolutely arrange that.
I will make that happen for you.
Thank you, sir.
Because you know what? He's a curmudgeonly, self-effacing, self-deprecating, fun guy. Northwestern grad, sharp guy.
Oh, yeah.
Has been...
well thought out, too.
Yeah. I mean, he and I have gone head-to-head, back on that, that KDK show, the Sunday Night Showdown or whatever. We had some pretty spirited disagreements, but... the beauty of our disagreements were they were respectful, and they were opinions, and they were sports.
Absolutely. And they were coming from 2 knowledgeable people, too.
No, I didn't feel any differently about Ron, and he didn't feel any differently about me. So
I do feel, though, as a fan, listening to these shows, that they're really kind of grasping for, content ideas, man. I feel bad for them
Did you see the numbers for that little golf show on Sunday?
I can't even imagine.
6.3 million.
Unbelievable.
6.3 million to watch Tiger and Peyton against Brady and Phil. And there was people probably that, first of all, the degenerate gamblers out there, I'm sure. They finally had something to put some money on, finally. And I imagine there's people that are not like big-time golf fans.
Yeah.
They had something to watch.
I'm missing it desperately. I'm missing baseball in the worst. I can't imagine what you're going through. I cannot even imagine having your career be that for so many years.
It's brutal. I mean, it's
Is
just
it weird too? Does it feel like almost like what the hell? This isn't like the first
the
couple
whole
weeks.
thing
had
is
to be.
surreal, actually, and not even with or without sports.
Okay.
The fact that we're all in this kind of weird global lockdown, and if you go back and people, the thing I love about social media, and I probably spend a little more time on it than I should, but I'm entertained by it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a Sanford and Son episode where the son had a bad cough and dad's wearing a mask. I mean, this is what, 30, 35 years ago?
What a great show.
I mean, unbelievable.
What a great show.
And, he's avoiding his son and he's trying to sneak out of the house. And they're talking about this could be, the end. This is all, there was so many different things said and done that.
Yeah. I think if we go back and point it history.
You see Fauci in 2017 saying
Something
the president's
different.
going to be dealing with a pandemic during his term.
It makes you wonder.
Why is he predicting? The World Health Organization gave a laboratory in Wuhan, China, $3.7 million. Why? I'm not a conspiracy guy. But you know what I am?
I know you're not. I know you're not.
I am a chaser of the truth. And to me, when there's things that are not answered, I want to know. Because we don't have a news organization out there currently seeking the truth.
No.
They're seeking to establish their agenda
It's
and to
entertainment.
perpetrate their agenda.
Entertainment ratings.
And as someone that spent 30-some years, 36, 37 years in the media, what people don't realize, they see what comes at them. They ingest what is broadcast. What they don't know is what they're not getting. And that's really, it's that editing. It's what you don't share with people that is really the way they continue their agenda.
Got it.
Because as soon as something comes in or becomes made relevant that would really go against what they're trying to preach, it's ignored.
Certainly. No
Now,
question.
on the other side, it's shoved down your throat. So somewhere in the middle
It's the truth.
is the truth. And the people that don't really, the people that think this side is right and the people that think that side is right, I just feel very sad for them.
The extremists.
Because they're being led down a path, and they're now, like we do, we force that polarization. They're so far from reality and from the truth that they don't even know which side is up.
Paul, do you think there was always blind allegiance as part of the citizenry?
I don't. The Democrats weren't a big fan of Bill Clinton as a president because he was a centrist.
Yes.
He would really bring both sides of the aisle together. I wasn't a Bill Clinton fan.
Right.
But I thought he was a very effective president.
I would agree.
I thought he got the job done. And it used to be one of my favorite sayings, and I've beaten the hell out of it recently, is you only have success when no one cares about who gets the credit. And I relate most things to sports.
That's a Paterno thing, wasn't it? Paterno was
I know all the Paterno things. That one's not it.
But that's how he ran his organization to a degree, as a team, right?
That's why no names on the back of the jerseys
Right.
and all the right stuff.
Right.
I mean, he would have been so happy to hear that. I'm sure that's part of who he was.
Right.
But if you think about that, when you look at a team that really is together, and I've seen a lot of teams, you see what Antonio Brown did to a pretty good Steeler team, just
Right.
ripped it apart,
Destroyed
destroyed
it.
it. That's
Destroyed
one
it.
person. Just destroyed it.
Right.
But when you have a team with pretty decent talent that really doesn't care who gets the credit, doesn't care about the stats, just wants to get the win, doesn't care at all, I'll show you a team that's going to be very tough to knock out of a playoff or knock out of a big game. If you give me a team that everybody's in it for themselves, well, in the big moment, they're not going to get it done.
Got it.
So we're in a big moment now as a country and as a world, as a global community.
Or are we?
Well, I don't know.
Or are we?
Well, we're faced with either coming clean and saying it's really not that bad, and we need to get back. The solution can't be more harmful than the problem. It can't be, and right now it is. And did you write that today? I read a lot, and my wife said, "Please stop reading." No, the situation where we have to find a way to just move forward and kind of count our losses and move forward and realize that all we've really done in the past 3 months is, I don't even know, like today's like March 90th.
It's the ninth week.
Is today March 91st or something like that? Like March never ended. It's something like that.
91st.
But someone wrote today, and I couldn't believe, I thought it was you that wrote that today, that any politician that says that small business is the backbone. Was that you?
That's mine.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
That small business is the backbone of this country?
Don't believe it. They're lying.
They don't care. They don't care at all.
They say they don't give two shits. That's what I said.
They try to give Ruth Chris $10 million. The one thing that was cool, within about an hour, was like, no one's ever going to Ruth Chris again if they don't give that money back.
Yeah, there's backlash.
So that, bam. I mean, that's
social
ended.
media. That's a positive of social media.
That is. That's one powerful element. But they don't give a flying you-know-what about small business.
I know. Tell me about it.
And someone said, well, I think someone's going to shoot Governor Wolf. I'm like going, it's going to be a Karen from a beauty salon. because she's had it. It's not going to be some guy with an AK-47 that had his constitutional rights. It's going to be some woman that put everything she had into a successful business.
Absolutely.
A nail salon or a hair salon.
How many?
Some woman that busted her butt to make it happen, and she had a great business, a great clientele, and she employed 8 to 10 people that depended on her to feed their families. And this clown and this whole insanity, like, obviously the COVID-19 doesn't go into Giant Eagle. It doesn't go into Walmart. It won't go into Target or a beer distributor.
Right.
But it is going to kill everybody that goes into a hair salon or a nail salon. It will kill them on site.
Or any store.
Oh, for the love of God.
It's. I was convinced for a while until my good friend Michael Cowden and my broker walked me back off the ledge. I was convinced that somewhere along the process here that Governor Wolf has a hard-on or basically has a grudge against the realtors because nothing made sense. We couldn't get any answers.
No,
we couldn't do anything.
He became the emperor.
But Michael said a very important thing, Paul, and he was right. He says, "Look, the guy's playing his bets, man, and he's getting publicity from it for whatever his future endeavors are. If he's right." And we do get infected at some point, that he was right all along.
Right.
But if the numbers really take a nosedive and we're all quote unquote saved, he's going to take credit for it.
Yeah, he's the savior.
It's all the spin.
Actually, I paid a little more closer attention to like what was going on outside of Pennsylvania.
Right.
He just mimicked Cuomo.
Really.
Anything Cuomo said or did, that's exactly what we were doing. Plus, Philadelphia's not good. Philadelphia has, a New York kind of, pandemic going on there. People are on top of each other, and for whatever reason, New Jersey, New York, it's just bad.
Right.
So, we had counties in western Pennsylvania that didn't have any cases, no deaths, and they were under the same ridiculous lockdown as everyone else. Everyone got treated like they were in Philadelphia. Yeah. Because that's all he cared about.
No leadership.
None.
No leadership.
None.
Leadership was devoid, and that's. I also believe too the country is just devoid of leadership. Period, from top to bottom.
Sure is.
And the leadership that really here is housed in private sector and business, in our military, in our nonprofits. People that really care about leading people for causes, whether it's capitalistic in nature, whether it's military in nature, or whether it's taking care of people in nonprofits. That's where your leaders are.
Right.
But they're not serving. They're not in politics. The ones that are in politics, they're devoid of leadership.
No one's crossed the party line.
Yeah.
So think about how ridiculous that is. Two people that I like personally a lot. Bill Peduto, I like personally. Rich Fitzgerald's been a friend for many, many years. They simply, whatever you say, Governor Wolf.
Yeah.
And Allegheny County Allegheny County is not Philadelphia.
No.
Pittsburgh is not going through the same thing as Philadelphia.
They didn't fight for us.
So why should be... No, they did not. They just mimicked and whatever you say, Governor. And that's not leadership.
Well, Paul...
going back to your statement today, question everything.
Well, yeah, you have
Governor Wolf, we're in a much better and different situation here in Pittsburgh. We want to open a little sooner. We want to open a little more. Now, if Rich or Bill would have done that, I would have been standing up and cheering.
Right.
Because it's not politics when people's businesses, liveward, and lives are on the line. It's no longer political.
That's the point. I mean, we already know what a political game is. We're used to seeing it. We get that. But when you destroy, or you put a serious hurt on an economy, a federal economy, and a state economy, and a county economy, over. I hate to say it, man, but it may turn out to be a lot of junk science in this. It could be in the end. There could be a lot of junk science. If we really set out to destroy an economy, there's going to be hell to pay. And I don't know what the repercussions will be. I would hope there would be serious legal and possibly financial repercussions for those who kept us in this situation if it turns out that COVID is a big white elephant in the big picture of life.
It's
a year from now, if it turns out to be that, Paul, there's got to be retribution.
Eric, it's the flu. It's the flu.
Oh, man. There's got to be retribution because I'm telling you, people have lost. And you know what else is done, Paul? I want your thoughts on this. I mentioned this to a prior guest, and I think we were on to something. This, you can argue that, well, this basically turned, left against right even, and the divide's even deeper. What if the divide really is those who are salaried or are collecting government benefits or still have their job versus all of the entrepreneurs that basically have endeavors and have taken upon themselves to feed themselves by earning money? That divide's wide right now. We're not all in this together.
No,
I don't give a crap when anybody says we are not in this together.
We're not even apart together.
We're not apart together.
We're not anything together.
Good way.
There's nothing together right now. It is a political junk show.
Right.
We can say shit show here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You say anything you want, pal.
It is a political shit show.
Yeah.
And again, no one really cares about the well-being of the people they represent. They care about continuing to
get elected,
propel themselves politically.
Which term limits would stop immediately, man.
And even better, get rid of the lobbyists, get rid of the special interests, because that's
Change
where everything
laws,
goes.
Like finance, campaign finance.
Yes.
Didn't we have that?
Yeah,
was there
been
some kind of
reform.
something? I mean,
some reforms here and there. Ugh,
all right, so back to sports here.
Thankfully.
I've been dying to ask you this question. That is, we're going to have a little philosophical question because here we go. What is your thoughts on the National League adopting the DH?
If they don't want to play baseball anymore and play beer league softball.
Oh shit! Are you really?
It's beer league softball.
Come on, man.
Eric, it's just a matter of to me the double switch. When do you take your pitcher out? When do you pinch hit?
All you national guys say that, though.
What do you do, with the pitcher? When do you pinch hit for him? What he's working on a 2-hitter and he's might have something left. To me, you take away, I think, the manager's role in the game.
Okay,
and I think the strategic, and I know a lot of people are like, I'm tired of watching. Well, what's embarrassing, and you played a lot of ball and you were around, I peaked probably at 15, unfortunately, but I was the guy. I was the guy that I pitched, I played shortstop, and I batted third.
Right on.
And that's what every pitcher that is in the big leagues did.
Yeah.
And they were really good hitters, and they were the best athlete on the team. And there's no reason that if they worked at it a little bit, they couldn't be an effective hitter.
Why don't they do that?
That's beyond me, and I don't get that. And I think that's on them. That's on them, and that's on the accountability of the manager and the whoever the personnel directors are. For me, if I'm pitching a game and my win-loss record is going to determine my next contract and my ERA and all that stuff, I'm going to help my team win a game with the bat in my hand because I'm an athlete. I'm not an automatic out. And if you're not an automatic out as a pitcher, that's on you. And yes, for the poor fan that has to watch a pitcher bat, that's so awful. Oh my God, I had to watch 4 pitches in the bat, and the guy struck out.
I don't mind it as a fan, but when they don't put any effort to really even hit the ball, when it becomes an automatic out, because
if that's the way it's going, and if pitchers really don't care if they can hit,
show me something to do.
But there's always going to be some percentage. Yeah, it's going down. So to me, that's like the bastardization of the English language. Like it used to be that toward, the word toward was. It never had an S. Right. An S was incorrect.
Right.
Everyone used the damn S, so you know what? Towards as it is. All right. Yeah. So the DH it is. Honestly, if pitchers don't have any pride in their ability to hit, screw it.
Show me any of that.
So bring it.
Would you not agree that most of them display no pride in hitting?
Well, I mean, most hitters now display no pride in hitting anything but a home run.
Good point.
I struck out. I mean, everybody's Dave Kingman now.
Dave Kingman.
Everybody's Dave Kingman.
209,
Everybody is
45
Dave
homers.
Yep, and 500 strikeouts.
209, 500 strikeouts and
45 bombs.
Yeah.
Everybody's Dave Kingman. Baseball to me, and this is something that, again, has been completely... When I was 8 years old, 8 to 10, we played T-ball. And T-ball to me was fantastic because to hit the ball effectively off the tee, you needed to have a very fundamentally sound swing. And the thing that was also very cool about that from 8 to 10, and instead of what I watched with my son playing baseball at a young age, 8 to 10, it was simply watching the pitcher and the hitter, and no one else had anything to do because the ball was never in play. So
games were long.
At 9 years old, I understood where the play was.
Right.
I understood where the runners were.
Good lesson.
I understood situational baseball.
Yeah.
And then, and here's, of course, now hitting is everything. Hitting is all that matters in baseball.
It shouldn't be.
No, but that's where it is. If you suck, if you can't throw the ball or catch it, but you hit,
You're
you
playing
play.
right field.
You're playing. At the major league level, you get to play. So maybe baseball is gone. I mean, as I knew it and loved it.
In terms of fundamentals?
In terms of, watching Starling Marte play the game, who was...
Jog and George Hendrick were reincarnated, right? Am I right?
No, but see, at least Marte's just a dum-dum. But I knew at 9... far more. My baseball IQ at 9 is far better than his at 30.
Understood.
That's my point.
Okay.
But here he is, because I would always point out, why don't they put Marte in center? I'm like, well, because Kutch would cry, and Kutch, he had a bit of a fragile ego. I go, but Marte's not a good enough baseball player.
Baseball player.
Bigger.
Its entirety.
Bigger, stronger, faster, more power, and a much better arm than Kutch. Kutch was a better player. How does that work? Because he never had to become baseball efficient or baseball wise or have a baseball IQ. And I think the DH dumbs the game down even further.
It does.
All right, here's a guy, all he can do is hit. He's a DH. That's great. Can't hide him in the field. Can't put him anywhere. And to me, the purity of baseball, when it was hitting behind the runner to move the runner over, and heaven forbid,
to manufacture runs.
See, I have a lot of respect for Jay Bell, who was a number 2 hitter, did not care about his average. He cared about advancing the runner ahead of him so his team could score runs and win the game.
Right.
And he was a hell of a shortstop.
Right.
And then he hit 25 home runs out of nowhere and got paid a boatload of money to go somewhere else. And all that to me is good, but again, success coming from no one caring who gets the success credit.
Right.
And that was Jay Bell, who they nicknamed Jay Bunt.
Right.
I love baseball being played in a way where it's a team effort. It's not swinging from your heels, launch angle, trying to hit 450-foot home runs, which they're cool. Don't get me wrong. Keep in mind, those people that, like Ron Cook, you had brought up Ron a little bit earlier, he'll never vote for anybody that used steroids to get into the Hall of Fame. Ron, do you realize after the 94 strike in the World Series wasn't played, Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds saved baseball?
Yeah, no question
They
about it.
saved baseball.
It was at
and by the way, the guys that were 30 and threw at 90 and then at 35 threw at 95, they were juiced as hell as well.
No question.
There's no one that benefits more.
No question.
No one benefits more from steroid use than a pitcher because they use one thing and it's their right or left arm and it gets fatigued and worn down. What do steroids do? Allow you to build that back up more quickly and more effectively. Absolutely. Of course they were juiced. Freaking Roger Clemens was shooting steroids in his wife's butt because she was doing the Sports Illustrated body, the body image issue.
Yep.
I mean, that's what I love. I mean, Jose Canseco, I know you're an Oakland Athletics guy, so you
fan.
have to love him.
Yeah, no,
but you know what's so cool about him?
Honesty.
He came clean.
Yeah, I love his honesty.
And you know
what?
what?
McGuire wouldn't do it. McGuire never.
But you know what? He was very humble, and he knew he was wrong. I forget what home run he hit here.
Okay.
For the Cardinals. But I interviewed him after the game. It was a monumental home run. He was chasing Maris or whatever.
Probably 600 or something, maybe?
Nah, maybe. I don't know. He had a bottle this big of creatine in his stall.
No kidding.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it was illegal then.
They did. Well, they never tested for steroids. Barry Bonds, by the way, never tested positive. That poor clown, whatever his boy's name was, that went to jail all the time for him. I mean, that poor bastard, he might still be in jail. I don't know. But that guy, Barry, I don't know why that guy always went to jail. But Barry never went anywhere. His buddy went to jail. Yeah.
But he never tested positive. Bonds never did, huh?
No, never once.
How about
the cream or the clear? I don't know.
But the bottom line is, if he never tested positive, it was never proven, just an assumed and reputation destroyed because of an assumption, why is he not in the Hall of Fame if you're by far the best power hitter ever?
It's not an assumption. And here's what I'll throw at you. I'm not an attorney, but I would love to play one on TV. It's called deductive reasoning, which is admissible in the court of law. So when I started interviewing and being around Barry Bonds, I mean, he was always 6'1" or 2". He was about 175 pounds. Yeah. And then like 3 or 4 years, then about 3 or 4 years later, he was 235 pounds.
40-pound head.
In his head grew like 6 sizes. I mean, it was unbelievable, like what his head did. So the reason I bring up deductive reasoning, if you and I go to bed this evening, and let's pretend it's January.
Okay.
We go to bed at midnight. There's not a flake of snow on the ground.
Right.
We wake up at 6:30 and there's a foot of snow on the ground. We can deductively reason it snowed overnight.
Right.
Barry Bonds snowed overnight. He juiced he was out of his mind. But back in my back when that was a big topic of discussion, and I would dive headfirst into it because I had Chuck Usalis, one of my favorite professors at Penn State. He became the absolute expert on performance-enhancing drugs and became best friends with Steve Corson. Now, Steve Corson was Jose Canseco. Steve Corson, who had 22-inch biceps and was ridiculously huge and was in need of a heart transplant because of all the steroids that he had done. Yeah. He told, everyone that I'm not putting Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, kick him out of the game, cheated. I'm like going, are the Steelers giving back those 4 Super Bowls?
Nope.
What are you talking about? How dare you? I'm like, John Kolb and the Steelers' offensive line were light years ahead of the rest of the NFL in steroid use.
Right.
Webby, unfortunately, it took a toll. The Steelers were the steroid kings, the absolute steroid kings. But again, they weren't testing for it.
Right.
It wasn't illegal. I mean, what's the line from Hangover? Pleasuring yourself on an airplane. It's not illegal. It's just frowned upon. One of my favorite lines in any movie.
Oh my God!
It's not illegal. It's just frowned upon.
That can be applicable to many instances in life.
It's just frowned upon. The steroids in the 70s in the NFL, they weren't illegal. Maybe frowned upon.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful how hypocritical you become when you start taking shots at certain things and not others.
Especially when it comes to Hall of Fame voting.
Oh, yeah.
What is your
character clause in baseball? Really?
What is your... so most of my life was spent, my professional life in the music business, and so I have a specific opinion.
Did any drummers like juice? Like, were there any like...
I don't know about the juice thing.
Who was the one... Wait, who was the one-armed drummer?
Oh, Def Leppard. Yeah.
I think he had to have. I think he had to have. He was a better drummer than 90% of the other drummers with one arm.
There's no question.
He was on the juice.
There's no question. That's actually pretty good. My thing about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is it's an absolute farce. It's like you're trying to legitimize something that was supposed to be rebellious from the beginning. So the whole
Janet Jackson's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Of the fact that Kiss took Kiss 25 years to get in, which is insanity.
Todd Rundgren.
Don't get me started.
Oh no, I'll go. I did
kidding
sports.
me?
I did sports for a rock and roll station for like 15 years in State College. We had Todd Rundgren on once a week, trying to get him into the Hall of Fame. And we would just go through the litany of names of people that are in there. I could do a show on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I really could. I was passionate about that. Oh. He's one of the coolest guys that ever lived.
No question.
Oh my gosh, is he amazing?
Continually getting bypassed.
His love for the environment, the way he lives his life. What a cool guy and a talented musician.
Very talented guy.
Underrated.
But the point is that whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was founded by Jan Wenner from Rolling Stone magazine. It had a certain kind of bent and a certain kind of cool, and if you didn't fit into all that, or you pissed off one of those 3 people, you weren't getting in. The fact that it took Deep Purple all those years to get it's like it's insanity. My point to you is, if you apply that
Smoke on the Water alone is first ballot Hall of Fame.
It inspired everybody.
It is first ballot Hall of Fame.
Right? I mean, come on.
How about the Blues Brothers?
Yeah.
The sign in the guitar store. No stairway to heaven. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on.
Right. But in sports, though, why is it that we take a really high and mighty, or some fans take a high and mighty standpoint in regards to the Baseball Hall of Fame? Football, there's arguments, but no one, it's not this football, why is the Football Hall of Fame not as lauded as the Baseball Hall of Fame? Why is there a difference there in fans' opinion?
I think the old school media is really
Ron,
about...
we're not talking about you. I love you, Ron Cook. I love you.
He didn't vote for the Babe. No, I'm
Wait,
kidding.
what? He was around for that?
I just really think, one, here's there's so many more games. Familiarity.
Thank God.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Okay.
Like the one thing.
Okay.
When I was doing full-blown Pirates, and I'm talking about, I think every one of those 20 years of losing, I had to go into that freaking locker room and interview these guys. Oh, it was not fun. My favorite day was like July 24th or 5th when they're like going, "You're headed to Latrobe." I would tell Jim Tredinich and all the Pirate PR people,
it's football season.
I love you. I'm out.
Right.
And it was like being released from prison. It was like, oh my God, freedom!
Free lad.
Free! But one thing I realized, I think the first couple years that I was just wall to wall from spring training through every game, you meet with all the players, the manager, before the game.
Okay.
Cover the game, you meet with them after the game. 162 times plus 31 at spring training.
Insanity.
It's way too much time with the media. Way too much. The cool thing now the NHL has gotten away from is the morning skate.
Okay.
And the morning skate was always, guys would show up, get a little sweat on, meet with the media. So everything you would do, and there's 2 to 3 hockey games a week. So you go to practice on Tuesday, do a bunch of interviews, and then the game's on Thursday. You go Wednesday, do a bunch of interviews, and then the only sound that you use is what you get at the morning skate on Thursday.
Got it.
So it's just so overplayed with the media, and I think there's too much of a familiarity in baseball. There's just too much exposure.
All right.
So if you're Steve Carlton, for example, first ballot Hall of Famer, talent-wise, not even a question.
Right.
He was very cold, refused to talk. I forget who screwed him. Some guy, went with something that was off the record, and he refused to talk to the media.
Wow.
So he had trouble getting into the Hall of Fame, despite being one of the, probably a top 10 left-handed pitcher in baseball.
Ridiculous, though.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
And then there's guys like, before our time, like Ty Cobb, I think killed a guy. He's in the Hall of Fame. But that's okay. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Didn't DiMaggio drink like half a case of beer before Yankees games?
Oh, well, Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, Mantle. Same
Mickey
thing.
Mantle.
Yeah,
I don't
Mantle.
think. No, I don't. Yeah, I think it was Mantle.
One
of my favorite Mantles was he said, "If I'd have known I was going to live this long, I would have taken much better care of myself." I mean, just hysterical. But then, did you watch the the Jordan thing?
I have not. No, I have not, because I wanted to watch it without all the banter, because everybody's got an opinion. I wanted to watch it
just free and clear.
Put myself a little time away from it, and just the entire. But I want to watch them all in succession.
But this was an aside, and I don't know where I caught it.
Okay.
The one thing I never remember is where I read stuff or hear it. But I've been around Jeremy Roenick a little bit. He's a character, fun guy, was a great player.
Right.
Not like an all-time great player, but a really good player. So, he and Jordan were in Chicago at the same time.
Okay.
So they happened to be in Arizona at the same time. Maybe the seasons. So Jordan challenged Roenick to play golf. So they play pretty early in the morning. Roenick goes, I took a couple grand from him. And he goes, we're playing again. And Roenick's like 2 days away from his game. Jordan plays that night. He goes, he has a dozen beers.
Wow.
And I beat him again on the next 18. And Roenick goes, I shouldn't be saying this, but this is honestly my unbelievable respect for how good this clown was, how good this guy was. So he has 12 beers, 36 holes of golf on game day. And then Roenick goes, I can't believe you're doing this. He goes, how do you want me to score tonight? He goes, how about 35? Jordan drops 40. And they win going away.
He was that good.
He was that good.
Wow.
And he just needed to compete.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been around. Like, I play miniature golf to win, which is, I'm not proud of it, but I mean, like, my son has never beaten me at miniature golf, and I can't let him, and it's, you know.
So you're uber competitive.
I thought so, but
until you watch the Jordan documentary.
I just really like to win. No, I've been around. I'm not gonna give up a name, but there's a certain Penn State coach that I'm very good friends with,
right?
And we used to go to Rec Hall and play hoops. That was our workout. We play hoops at Rec Hall like 10:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And one day there's like no one there. But there's like, and we're not in school. I mean, we're probably in our 30s at this point. So I mean, still, I mean, I played hoops 6-7 days a week. Honestly, I mean, I played a lot. So I was in pretty good shape.
Okay.
He wasn't very big or really that good.
All right.
So we run into these two college kids, both over 6'2" or 6'3". They're both, you know. I said, why don't we split up and make it even? He goes, no, we got this. I'm like, okay. He was so insane with the way he was setting picks and boxing out and defending. I was scared to death to miss a shot because he really didn't shoot. I mean, I was always a pretty good shooter. He's like, make this freaking shot.
He's setting you up.
Bam. These two kids, like, we played one game to 11, and it was so weird. Like, diving. He's diving on the floor. I'm like going,
all this intensity.
Okay. That's, well, I mean, he was in college. He was 170 pounds.
I get it.
And he was Penn State special teams captain.
I get it.
At 170 pounds. So here I am thinking, I really worked hard, and I did. I played hard. I worked hard. I didn't have that.
Got it.
And now, he wasn't as athletic as Michael Jordan. But when I saw him compete like that in a 2-on-2 pickup game at 10:30 in the morning at Rec Hall,
something there.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. That's a D1 athlete. That's I didn't have that.
Get it.
So
I get it.
I kept thinking about that when I was watching. Like, do you realize how many great 6'6" athletes there have been in the NBA? I mean, ridiculous talent. Like a guy like Dominique Wilkins. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, there were guys that were so gifted athletically.
But they weren't Michael.
But it's here.
There's no question.
It's here.
Desire.
And the thing that was so cool was, you know, my son and I watched it. I mean, we were in separate houses, unfortunately, but we would text during the shows.
Okay.
And he was always a LeBron guy saying, there's no way.
The younger generation
There's no way Michael's as good as LeBron.
My son says that too.
And I'm like, watch him against the Pistons. Watch him decide his team is going to win.
Yeah.
Watch him make every. You know, the thing I love is he was a dick to his teammates. I mean, he really was.
Well, this special showed that, right?
Yeah. But he never once asked anyone to do anything that he didn't do in terms of his hard work, dedication, all out. And my favorite thing about his contract, he had a love of the game clause in his contract, meaning he could play hoops anytime he wanted. They could never restrict how or when he got to play basketball.
How about that?
Like in the summer, whenever, he could play. So I watch a guy like Sidney Crosby, who's every bit as competitive as Michael.
Okay.
And I'm sure some guys will tell you that he's been talked to by Sid for maybe screwing around or not necessarily improving in an area which they needed improvement, or maybe not taking care of themselves, or maybe not sleeping enough, eating right, or whatever.
Okay.
But Sid's never a dick to anybody.
Yeah. Understood.
So you don't have to be a dick, but they're the same. Michael Jordan and Sidney Crosby are the same.
So Crosby is the Michael Jordan of hockey.
Yes.
Interesting.
And here you mentioned earlier that success only happens when no one cares about who gets the credit.
Right.
And you want to I don't think that was a Paterno because I was around him for 20 years and I don't remember
he ran
that
a program like that.
Yeah, he did. But one thing he always said, and it was always so true, if my best players are my hardest working players with good character, we'll win championships. And that's what I look at. When I look at a team, I'll look at, all right, who's their best player? What's his character like? What's his work ethic like? How does he treat his teammates? Is he respectful of his coach? All right, that's the team I'm going to pick to win the championship because that determines it.
Okay.
Because you're at practice, you're a fourth-line center in the Penguins, and you're messing around. You think practice is fun.
Yeah.
You're goofing around, pulling guys' pants down and hitting people with the stick, goofing around.
Yeah.
Sid looks at you, you're done. You look right in. Coaches don't have to coach. That's what, again, AB destroyed an entire team by being a complete asshole.
Right?
Yeah, he does. Because he shows up. See, Ben doesn't have that. And people in Pittsburgh get mad at me. Ben gets mad at me. Ben's just not that guy. Game time, game on the line, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Suggs is breaking your nose, and you're standing there throwing him off, and you're throwing a touchdown, and that pass he made or that drive he made to beat Arizona in the Super Bowl,
he's a gamer.
Ben's my guy.
He's a gamer.
But you know what? He's almost like Allen Iverson with practice.
Understood.
We're talking about practice?
Right.
Ben doesn't like studying film. He doesn't like studying the opponent. Mm-hmm. He likes game time. Mm-hmm. He wants to play the game and win the game.
So he's not a student of the game.
He's not. But there's probably plenty of reasons for that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But no, Brady doesn't have Ben's size, athletic ability, prowess. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of what Ben has. So that's what he made up, what he didn't have. I mean, that's the beauty of sports, right?
The finesse of it.
I mean, Sid's not gifted. I mean, Sid's a superstar grinder. Mm-hmm. He's in the corners digging out the puck. He'd rather pass it than shoot it. I mean, he's not your typical superstar.
Who do you feel about that in baseball? Who's like that in baseball to you? Grinders in baseball. They made themselves, may not have had the actual innate skill level there, but they made themselves great. Would you take
I think Kutch is up there.
Okay.
I really do. I think, he
worked on his craft that much.
He's 5'9", 175 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the old school, like 70s Pirates are like, he's not going to be anything. Look at him.
Got it.
Because it used to be about Dave Parker. It used to be about just those, just monstrosity of athletes. Dustin Pedroia comes to mind. I mean,
what about Altuve? I know that Houston gets a lot. Well, Houston gets a lot of like.
And they should. And
they absolutely should. But I mean, from a physical stature standpoint, he's such a small guy.
When you're 5'4", and at every level you were told you don't belong here and you're not going to make it, and he's been an MVP. Yeah, that's a great story.
That is
how do you not?
Unfortunately tainted by that bullshit.
It is, and I mean when you watch him running down the runway, making sure that they don't find. So
hold on. So the last
I gotta go.
Time you were here was before all that nonsense.
Yeah.
And I've talked to you a little bit online since then. Are you? And your initial take was, it's like there's a lot of cheating going on all the time, and I'm sure teams are trying to circumvent the rules and get inside information. But are you at the point now where they just went out and just fucking cheated?
Yeah.
Because I'm an A's fan, and I flew out there for that wild card game last with my son against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay beat him clear.
Oh yeah.
But it was a fun experience. But I think that A's team was like 8 games behind Houston, and I look at that whole season going, could they have made 4 more games up? Maybe.
Sure.
They were a good team.
Just look at the splits.
You never know.
Look at the splits. Look at them at home. Look at them away.
Right, and that was the telltale sign,
everything, and you look at, great pitchers and their numbers at home and numbers away against. Sorry. And to me, it's no different than Spygate. No different at all.
Yeah.
And I've said this a million times, and I'll say it a million more. Interviewing Joey Porter after the 2001 AFC Championship game at Three Rivers. No, that was Heinz, whatever, wherever it was. 201 would have been Heinz.
Yeah.
It's as if they knew what we were doing before we did it. Turns out they did.
They did.
Turns out they did. And if you're a quarterback and you know when and where the blitz is coming from, and the Steelers still almost won those games, 01 and 04.
Mm-hmm.
They still almost won those games. And I've talked to Coach Cowher about this off the record quite a bit, so I'm going to be careful where I go. But the fact that publicly, we should have won those games. They outplayed us.
He took the high road.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big fan of that. And for baseball, and I get what Goodell did with Spygate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more damning than destroying the evidence. If, in fact, there was a way to come forward and say, listen, they didn't do anything anyone else didn't do. They didn't really. Come on. There wasn't that much of it.
You know they did.
The evidence was destroyed.
There's no question.
What more do you need to know?
Come on.
The evidence was destroyed. I'm good.
Was that done in a way to protect the NFL brand?
Oh, absolutely. And the whole gambling thing. Like, how do you give people money back that bet on those games and things like that? And how do you take Super Bowls away?
So the implications of trying to they couldn't come legit on it.
I mean, think about Coach Calipari's had how many Final Fours vacated?
Right.
Remember Coach Ford? I think it was at Clemson.
Yeah.
They took away the '82 national championship.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you know what the Boosters did in Clemson, by the way? They got him a condo and a Cadillac. Yeah.
Of course.
Hey.
Of course.
I mean, there's part of me that always just kind of kiddingly said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I get that.
Yeah.
And, going back to the whole performance-enhancing drugs, Olympians back, before they were cutting down trees and branches and hauling out the little stuff inside the bark, thinking that was going to make them bigger, stronger, and faster.
Right.
I mean, people will look for an edge. I mean, did you not try to steal signs as a kid?
Of course.
Oh, my God, yes.
Of course.
Hey, I think skin to skin is the indicator. And then he's going to the hat. Then he's going like. Meanwhile, I mean,
I used to
you still got to play the game.
I used to get to second base and try to pick. We
the
had a system.
catcher.
Yeah,
Like
in high school we were doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
In high school we were doing that.
And so what the Astros did, they just took it to a whole nother level.
Well, they used technology.
Yes,
That's
they
when they
did.
crossed the line.
They
I
did.
think. The technology thing,
Yeah.
the trash cans are funny. But
Bam.
But the technology thing, I think,
Yeah.
is where other teams had a problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think about it. So,
and here's the real bottom line of all scandals in sports that involve cheating.
Okay.
You can never put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Right.
You just can't.
Yeah, you can't.
So you got to move on.
You can't
And
vacate
what's
the
good?
title. You can't vacate the title.
I mean,
right?
I don't know if the pandemic or whatever, but the Astros scandal's over. We have a new news story.
Well, the Astros
it all
caused this
goes
pandemic,
away.
right?
Well, they may have. Maybe they have Wuhan connections.
They may have. So, okay, to wrap this up, tell me what you think is going to happen here. I need a prognostication of how are we going to slowly return to sports? Do you see a baseball season of any kind here?
Well, right now, of course, the idiots, the billionaires and the millionaires, they're not worried about how to stay safe and how to play the game and maybe do an 82-game season. They're not worried about that. They're worried about the freaking money.
No question.
The fans are just disgusted by that, and they should be. Mm-hmm. These guys, I mean, where's the love of the game? Where is the love of the game? See,
both sides are complicit.
Look at the NHL. They just want to play. Mm-hmm. And that's legit.
24
These
teams
guys
put in there.
want to play.
Montreal's in the mix.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's like Tiger and Phil and Brady and Peyton playing golf. I mean, just give us something.
Okay.
So hopefully, now Manfred's an idiot. I mean, that's been proven.
Oh, we agree on something.
I mean, to have Gary Bettman make you. I mean,
right.
Gary Bettman is now like the ultimate. He's the ultimate.
Finest commissioner in all sports.
Wow.
He was the laughing stock for decades.
He still gets booed. I mean, that's fine. But Manfred gets no respect, commands and has not earned any respect.
He blew everything, though.
He has been an absolute imbecile.
Part of Giamatti was bad, but this guy is really...
I thought Giamatti was pretty good.
Ooh.
I did. You know what killed Giamatti?
Bowie Kuhn was a piece of work.
Pete Rose, way back. Pete Rose killed Bart Giamatti. He killed him.
Yeah. Can you imagine if that had happened during the social media era?
Ooh.
Think about that. It might have been a different outcome.
Oh. Ooh. Well, here's what a lot of people don't know about Pete Rose. As a manager, bet against the Reds several times, and Dowd, the former FBI investigator, caught him red-handed.
Yeah.
So Giamatti came to Rose and said, if you accept a lifetime ban, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, end of story.
But we're done. But you cannot.
He couldn't accept it.
No. But he did at the time. He accepted it at the time to stay out of jail.
Right.
So these Pete Rose people that come out, I'm like, to me, it's real simple. The day after his death, you put him into the Hall of Fame as a player.
Yeah, sure.
And you
Why
ignore
not?
his...
Absolutely.
And people go, what about the guys that did steroids? I'm like...
It's not a one-to-one argument.
Well, it's ridiculous because when you're doing steroids, you're actually trying to be better and trying to win. Mm-hmm. When you're betting against your team that you're managing... You're
manipulating it.
You're now taking away the integrity of the game.
No question.
And people don't understand that.
Why?
I don't know.
It's an easy argument.
It's, to me, the easiest one in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, when I would have a talk show on a night of a rainout that I hadn't prepared anything for, I just go, hey, Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Bam. It was
easy, right?
It was too easy. But I actually ran into him at there's a famous restaurant in St. Armand Circle called the Columbian.
Okay.
And that's where like Dick Vitale and Bart Giamatti and I was in there one night while I was at spring training and ran into Bart Giamatti, and I said, I don't want to give you, I know this is your free time. And I just said, I feel so bad for you. This guy had made so much of his life away, but his passion, his whole life was baseball.
He was in no win situation.
And I just said, I just feel so badly for you. I really do. And I think the way you're handling it is amazing. He goes, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was like a cool moment.
There's a story, yeah.
It was just a cool moment.
Yeah.
And then, I think 6 months later, he was dead.
He was done, yeah.
Because people don't realize, Shelley, if you watch this, she gives me 1,000 reasons.
She will.
1,000 reasons that I'm not, maybe as healthy as I should, even though thankfully I never get sick. I don't go to the, I'm one of those guys who goes to the doctor when I'm sick, not just because it's fun or it's like something I do. It's not
I kind of relate to that.
It's a guy thing.
It is.
But what honestly is the true killer in life is stress.
No question.
Stress brings about all the other maladies,
no
all the other issues. So you need to get happy with yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to be okay with you. And it's going to be amazing how you treat other people when you're okay with you.
Yeah, right on.
And understand this, when someone treats you poorly, someone's mean to you or someone's real angry with you, it has nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. Unless you did something really shitty to them, which sometimes we do. But if you haven't done anything wrong and people are still really mean to you, say a prayer for them.
Yeah,
because they got some shit going on that we don't know about.
No question.
Everybody's fighting battles.
No question, man.
Everybody.
Yeah, no question.
Especially now. We have no idea what people are going through right now.
Yeah.
Life savings, businesses, jobs. Mm-hmm. It's tough, and life is tough,
and it's hard even to even when it comes to the pandemic to give your opinion because you may believe in that, but while I know my particular circumstance is manageable, so I have this very passionate opinion of we're getting screwed, but other people it's not manageable. They have been destroyed.
Yeah,
absolutely positively destroyed, and they don't want to hear my opinion because they're dealing with reality.
Right,
their reality I can't relate to. And that's the thing.
No.
If you don't have appreciation for the fact that like you said, to understand that you don't know is more powerful than understanding what you do know.
It's called empathy.
Right on.
It is put yourself in someone else's shoes and then register your opinion.
Amen to that.
Absolutely put yourself in whatever, in perspective. The shit that bothers us on a daily basis. I found something, and again, I read too much. I got to slow down a little bit, but it's helpful. Something about if you have a roof over your head, you're in the top 1,000,000,000%. The creature comforts of life. Mm-hmm. If you have those, if you have food to eat, a roof over your head, someone that cares about you,
right,
and whatever. Just the things that we take for granted. Mm-hmm. If you have those, you're in the top 1% of this planet.
No question.
And no one, I think, takes nearly enough time in their day to just say, I'm pretty lucky.
Is this pandemic going to make that hopefully
I hope.
more? That was my hope too. Can we focus on the bare, on the bare, not the bare necessities, but the things that are most important to us?
Yeah. What I think has destroyed this country in so many ways is corporate greed. And always finding a way to do more with less. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of 4 people out of your team, but I need to increase sales by 25% next year.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
And sadly, the sheeple, instead of saying, that's ridiculous, how can you do that? You're eliminating 4 really good people, or maybe 3 good ones and 1 pretty shitty one, or whatever the case may have been. That doesn't make sense. And I don't, my favorite saying is, don't piss down my neck and tell me it's raining. Okay? Just don't do it.
Good point.
And the fact that I would always be that way is why I think I've had some changes of careers.
Yeah,
because I don't like that. Like the guys at the Fan right now, God bless them. I was loving doing my weekend shifts. I was having a blast just doing it because I love it.
It
and
sounded
it was so much fun.
On air, it sounded like you were.
So these poor guys that are the full-timers have now broadcast lines in their homes, and they're doing a 6-day, and I think they all had to take a pay cut.
That's insane.
We need you to work an extra day.
And take
and
less
by
money.
the way, for less
Or pay
money.
less money.
Yeah. Now, this is a pandemic, so to me, okay, mitigating circumstances. Put a broadcast line in my house. I'll talk about sports all friggin' day. I mean,
Right.
I hope those guys, and I know them well enough to know,
Sure.
they feel pretty lucky. They're talking about sports for a living. All right, they're doing an extra day. They're maybe making a little less money,
They're not going to complain
but
about
they're
it.
okay. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme, I hope they have the perspective that I'm talking about.
Right.
Because in the grand scheme,
Right.
pretty lucky,
Yeah.
pretty fortunate.
Yeah, I would say so. It's a good gig.
But at the same time, don't let management just kill you. You know, don't.
Have some backbone.
Yeah, I mean, just always stand up. My dad, God bless him, always said, if you're right, don't back down.
Yeah.
And
We do that as a people, don't we?
yeah, we do. I mean, there's principle, and sometimes you have to kind of stand up for yourself and say, that's wrong.
Amen.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because the bottom line is, and I did that probably more than I should have. I mean, you have to pick your battles when to stand up. And my wife, God bless her, did 31 or 32 years with CBS Radio.
Right.
And she was the type that whatever they asked her, she did. And she did, she performed tasks joyfully, as I always try to say.
Right.
If you want to have a really good marriage or relationship, everything you're asked to do, whether you want to or not, do so joyfully.
Right.
Don't roll your eyes. Don't do the big sigh. Just do it. Because you're going to do it anyhow. Don't piss them off by
You hear
going.
that, married folks?
You do that, it's game over. You can spend the next 6 hours doing yard work and everything else. But if the reaction
my
to,
God, yes.
hey honey, would you mind cutting the grass? If you do that, you're done. I'm trying to help my son right now. He's only 17. When his mom asks him to do something
learn.
like, please just go, sure, Mom.
Yeah.
Instead of being,
But you remember that. You
oh my
remember,
gosh.
right? You remember?
Absolutely. That's the way it was.
I mean, it repeats itself, right?
Right.
All right, so before we wrap up, what's your prediction on, are we getting any baseball this year?
We're going to have an 82-game season.
Okay.
I think that...
Are we getting those funky alignments, like a funky divisions?
No,
based
I
on-
don't think...
I hope not.
I think we're opening up, probably... I don't know what's going on with the NBA. They've been quiet.
Very. But
they've been
this thing
quiet.
started there, didn't it?
They've been quiet.
COVID kind of started there on the pro level.
It did. The NHL is going to do 2 pods. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I don't think it'll happen with our esteemed governor. But we're one of the, 8 possibilities. I don't know. But anyway, I think we'll have an 82-game season.
Okay.
These clowns will finally acquiesce and realize the fans do matter. And if we don't give them baseball this year, they may not come back next year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're going to
Good
go
point.
kicking. They're going to go kicking and screaming.
Good point.
But they've broken off as we speak at this moment. Talks have been broken off between the players' union
Why?
and the owners.
What for? What
Because
possible reason?
they can't agree on the sliding scale of payment of salaries.
How could a player demand full compensation if half the season wasn't played? Explain that to me as a business person.
Cannot. Now, one thing, baseball over the last 5 or 6 years has been extremely, insanely profitable from the owner's
Thank goodness.
perspective.
Right.
I mean, it's been
Right.
revenue,
Right,
jumping.
right.
I think what would be nice once would be the owners to say, you know what, you guys are right. We're going to give you a little more than we should because life has been good.
Got it.
But they're not like that either.
No, because to some degree they have all the risk, right? I mean, let's face it, they have the risk.
What's the risk? Do you feel like Bob nutting is at risk?
Well,
he's spending $50 million in payroll.
Yeah,
he's going to put
probably I get it.
Probably $9 to $20 million in his pocket on a regular, non-pandemic season. Mm-hmm. That's not risk. There's not one owner that's at risk in Major League Baseball.
Paul, let me ask you a question. I wanted to ask you this last time, and I don't expect you to know all the ins and outs of this particular team, but how is it possible that the A's can spend less money in salary and have a dungeon of a stadium? The Carlton Coliseum, you've been there. It's a shithole.
It's nasty.
I was just there in the fall. Trust me, it was. Nasty. I'm glad I saw it.
Right.
Ooh.
I did a few Steeler games out there.
Okay, so my point is, though, that organization finds a way to be competitive. And you can argue the past 7, 8 years, 10 years, way more competitive on a win-loss basis than the Pirates.
Oh, my.
Way more. How can they do that at less payroll generally than the Pirates do?
Look, it's Tampa does the same thing.
Yes.
Tampa does the same thing. Minnesota has done it, not as consistently.
Point. Kansas City to some degree, too.
Yeah, no, but they're here and here.
Yeah,
Kansas City's either really good, win a World Series, going to a World Series, or sucking.
Good point. Good point.
They're like the old Marlins used to be.
But the A's bring in a consistent fan base in that Bay Area
I would say,
how's that happen?
I would say scouting. I would say
organization.
It's scouting and player development. If you draft well and develop well,
field manager like Bob Melvin compared to Clint Hurdle.
No,
you don't think?
No. I mean, Clint Hurdle's the kind of guy that after maybe a year or two, you're just done listening. You know how your kids, Eric, when you talk to your children, you know right away when they've tuned you out, right?
Yes.
It's usually when you call their name.
It's humbling.
It's normally when Sam, and then you start with your. It's really important if you do this. They're not hearing you.
Okay.
And Clint Hurdle is, he's the smartest guy in the room guy.
Okay.
I mean, he is.
Okay. You would know. You're around that environment.
Oh, yeah. One time, I said something rather smart, and he lectured me on being a cynic. And,
what? Really?
In front of everybody. And I'm
really?
Okay.
Okay.
I said, so how did that make you feel? He said, what do you mean? I go, well, I mean, you basically just, chastised me in front of my colleagues and peers. So I said, I hope that made you feel better. I was just being a smartass. So, okay.
That's a good response.
So how we're good? Are you done? I said, everybody here. I said,
great.
was everybody entertained? I go, I've been in the media for 30-some years. I'm a smartass. You know what I mean? I covered this team 20 years of losing. I go, okay, we're good, right? So from that point forward, we were much better.
Okay.
Much better.
To his
because
credit.
I don't suffer that stuff well.
Okay.
I meant nothing by it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an innocent, smart-ass remark.
I get it.
And he took the opportunity to get on his pulpit, which he does.
Interesting.
And I had enough, the Fort and I really connected when he came on board, and we had some good talks. I'm like, seriously, he's like, well, I'm like, yeah, I know.
Was he a good enough baseball guy to take any of this Pirate teams further than it played out? Or was he pretty much at his capacity?
I mean, if you look, he had one miracle season in Colorado.
Yeah, I know. I don't put much stock into that.
But I don't put much stock in managers, period.
Really? Especially American.
I really
right?
don't.
I think Bob Melvin's a hell of a manager.
He is.
They revel about him.
Here's why I love Jim Leland. Here's where I put stock in a manager. How hard do your guys play for you?
Got it.
How much do they want to win for you? Strategically, you know what? If you take the starter out and the reliever blows the lead, you suck. If you take the starter out and the reliever closes it down, you're brilliant.
Got it.
It's always 20/20 hindsight. I mean, managing is never... And the one thing I liked about Hurdle, he would go, if I don't trust my gut, why am I even here? If I go by the book, if I go lefty-righty, I do this. I mean, whatever. I respected his managing sometimes.
But he used statistics a lot, right? They use analytics like ridiculous in Pittsburgh, didn't
Sometimes. He was a decent mix.
Okay.
I mean, you know, Huntington was all analytics, the damn shifts and everything else.
Oh my God!
You do not, with 2 outs and a runner on second. There's certain hitters that you don't do a shift on. They put the bat on the ball and beat you.
And they should know that. They studied them, guys.
But the analytics say,
oh God,
the
I hate
same
that.
clowns that say, and I used to love getting Teak going in this. I'm like, Teak, first 3 outs are no different than the last 3 outs. Oh, and I'm like going,
I bet
it's like playing. And again, I'm a huge golf fan.
Yeah.
Imagine you're good enough to be on the PGA Tour. You're playing in the Masters. You're on 16, 17, and 18 at Augusta on Thursday. You're having a pretty good round. Imagine that same situation on Sunday with a 1-shot lead.
Totally
Those that have not competed at any level don't realize when you can't breathe, when your mouth is so dry you think that you might die, when your hands are shaking when you're trying to hit the ball or hit a putt, that's 16, 17, and 18 at Augusta on Sunday.
Right.
And these talk show hosts that never played at any level that understand this guy choked or that guy did this, well, you know, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And those, you know, the MIT, wherever you come from, analytics people, go away.
Yeah.
You don't understand the human element of all sports.
Yeah. That's the intangible.
You don't. It's
intangible.
all. It's heart, desire, clutch. Oh, clutch doesn't exist.
You heard that before?
That's what the analytics say, that it's impossible because they don't have an algorithm for it. Clutch.
Most of them guys and gals haven't played the game either.
No, of course. If you're at MIT, you know, if you're getting hired by a Major League Baseball team,
got it.
You're brilliant, but you're not an athlete, and you don't understand the emotional
Moneyball,
side.
right? Oakland did that, right? I mean, in the early 2000s. I mean, it was part of it.
But the way they treated Kenny Mock and Art Howe, no.
Football. Before we close down football, like, what do you think the NFL is going to do?
They're business as usual, man. Did the draft?
Do you think?
I guess
basement, right?
OTAs got wiped out. You know, organized team activity. They got wiped out.
Players don't care about that.
But they're planning on playing.
Are we going to see empty
I
stadiums
love the
for a
NFL.
while?
Yeah, I think we're going to be maybe 25%.
Okay.
Maybe 25%.
Strategic seating in there, like, you know.
That one's going to be interesting. The thing that's really scary right now, like I heard today, Connecticut, University of, they're at a $40 million deficit in their athletic department.
Oh.
So they've just eliminated basically everything but basketball and football.
Wow. Can they do that legally?
Football pays for everything.
Yeah, but I mean,
if we don't have a college football season, college athletics as we know it in terms of all the other, this is going to sound bad, but I used to call them third world sports. Mm-hmm. You know, the sports that generate no revenue.
Yeah, you mean like shot put?
Track
and field.
Every sport other than football and basketball,
field hockey,
they don't generate revenue.
Yeah,
they are a big expense. The scholarships, the travel, the food, everything.
Right.
They're expensive.
Right.
They're going to go away. Football pays for everything.
So Alabama missing half their season is a problem.
Big problem. But not nearly as big a problem as it is for, like, Connecticut.
Got it.
So it's going to be interesting. And I hope things from this point forward, and it certainly feels like things are getting better.
Right.
I'm concerned about a potential October spike to really influence the election.
But the reality is, even if it spikes, it may not spike to an alarmist standpoint. You know what I mean? Like
they might tell you that it has.
There needs to be some
they might tell you that it has
numbers, right? I mean, there needs to be some.
Does there?
There needs to be.
Well, in a perfect world, that's not where we live now.
To benefit to citizens, right?
We live in a really shady, corrupt, agenda-driven world, and they will do anything. And it's funny. I probably shouldn't even go there. But I was just having a conversation with somebody, and they're completely on one side, and I just said, "So your side will do whatever it takes to win, right?" And he went, "Absolutely." I go,
"Wow,
is that not the problem?"
That is the problem.
Is that not the problem?
It's
a lesser of evils. Right now, your election day, whichever way you go, whether you go Biden or Trump, you're choosing a lesser of evils.
No question.
Where your
philosophy
ability
is.
Wherever your tolerance for evil is, that's where you're going to go.
That's a good
But
point.
I mean, I just saw something like someone has an old interview with Biden. I mean, this guy's like a pathological liar too.
It's amusement, man.
He's a pathological liar.
There's no question.
Said he graduated in the top of his class, Syracuse Law School. Well, no, then he had to come clean. I mean, he's the best you have.
Well, that was my argument. So, okay, let's go there before we split. We keep changing, but my point is, if your goal was for 3.5 years or 3 years to really unseat the guy who's in there because he's nothing but a charlatan and a failed businessman, whatever he is, a piker, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever he is, you hate him,
right? Passionately.
And you have a group of people in this country, some business, some political, and you're going to put together a campaign to run against him and unseat him. You trying to tell me the best you fucking got is Joe Biden? I mean, I saw a whole stage full of Democratic candidates there, which I watched them.
There was a couple that I really liked.
There's some people that are moderate, like Buttigieg.
Oh yeah,
there are people like these people. There's some good ideas there. You ended up in the end with Joe Biden.
Yeah, they did.
I don't get it. Mm-mm. It's like a bizarro world. You can't make it. You can't.
I wouldn't let Joe Biden watch my kids. And he's going to run the country. He's going to be I'm not sure I'd let Trump watch my kids.
Right. Take out
the
trash.
Either one
Take
of them.
out the trash, man.
I don't want them as our president.
Yeah, it boggles my mind. It almost is like the power of B is laughing at us that we're that damn stupid.
We suck that bad.
We accept this shit.
Have you seen whatever that series was? It was based on Jeff Daniels was the anchor at a.
Oh yeah.
So you saw that?
It's good, very good.
Oh, so well done. And
there was a.
Do you remember his speech?
Yes, during the presentation. Yes.
Yeah, he's at a college campus, and someone asked a question. Why are you taking shots at America? Because we live in the greatest country.
It's on YouTube, by the way. You got to go see this.
We live in the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
And he starts to give the politically correct answer. And then his producer's in the back, and she goes, she has a big thing. Answer the question. His speech about what we used to be and what we are now.
Right.
Everybody should watch.
No question.
Everybody should watch Jeff Daniels' speech. Google Jeff Daniels' speech on why America is not the best country in the world anymore.
Yeah.
And it's spot on.
100%.
It is spot on.
And ingest it. That's the reality.
Right. And, those of us that have kids, why don't we make an effort to make it what it used to be in terms of something you can be proud of, something that has integrity, something that has, politicians that actually care about the people they represent instead of getting reelected.
Amen.
Or putting a lot of money in their pockets.
Exactly
or
right.
Taking care of the big company that gave them the $1 million contribution.
Or continuing the fear that keeps everybody submissive, which is just
sheeple.
Yeah, which is I think as you're going to see as this progresses, maybe the story behind the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll see. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, what a pleasure!
This is awesome.
We got a little wacky.
Dude, you have an open seat there anytime you want to come back. And
I love it here.
Man.
I love the studio.
Thank you.
I love the opportunity to talk.
And it's
man.
good to have.
It's fun.
I don't know if you noticed. And full disclosure, Shelly and the girls have been on multiple times, and they're always welcome
They're
back
awesome.
here. It's amazing.
They're awesome.
The Duffy women, amazing. Look them up.
They're rock stars.
We've had some amazing shows on here that have been totally off the hook. But I've done the past 7 shows with my guests sitting in my neighboring suite. And I've run the electric and I've run the video and the audio over there for social distancing. But last night...
We're green now or yellow. What are we? What color are we?
All I know is my guests are back in the studio, and it's good to see you across the studio, buddy.
We're at least 5.5 feet.
We're social distancing in our own way, and we don't really give a shit.
I don't.
I'll say, don't give a shit. God bless you all. Paul Alexander, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.